Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome back to another week of Astra Season offense matches. I went into this week trying to make AR a bit easier on myself while I was busy streaming Pokemon Legends, and having Plumeria as a bonus mythic made it fairly easy to put together a full save ball. Gatekeeper's detailed report, along with the stat bonuses his weapon offers to allies, make him an excellent frontliner for a pair of near-save armors. Shutting down warp effects is a big deal when handling Catria balls or Wings of Mercy chains, and his ability to obstruct normal movement can come in really handy with the right positioning. Adding Fortress Def Res to his kit even lets him soak Dark Shrines for Edelgard. Offering 11 attack and speed to his armored partners is a huge benefit for Fjorm, and to a lesser extent Edelgard. Fjorm's built-in Nullsy Disrupt and self-healing make her a uniquely powerful Farsafe unit, and I prefer leaning into her attack speed and self-healing, while letting Ice Mirror cover her middling defenses. Edelgard, meanwhile, is an excellent near-save bodyguard. Being able to, mostly, neutralize the damage of follow-up attacks usually lets her ignore guard and focus on other defensive effects instead. She doesn't have any ways to heal herself on this team, just counting on outlasting her melee opponents instead. There are usually a lot more ranged enemies to handle anyway. The mythics on this team are mostly here for support, although Ashura did get some moments to help break through some particularly annoying Legendary Marths. The two sabotages usually give Fjorm and Edelgard a significant edge over their opponents, while Dragon Slaying and Dance support are always useful effects to have. Now that we've gone over the team, let's get to the first match. This match is going to be a somewhat degenerate way to start the week. They've got a pretty neat defense team here, with a plus 10 Eliwood headlining their team. While I think Eliwood has been somewhat outdated by now, he's still a very solid threat on a defense if he's backed up with the correct units, and a Gale Force can still catch people off guard if they're not being careful. The Lull's a nice way to try and force him to actually do damage to his opponents, even if they're a very bulky save armor, and Quickened Pulse means that it's pretty tricky to stop him from being able to attack a second time. They're backing that up with a bit of a Dance Trap with this Mirabilis and the Veronica, and Mirabilis, assuming no isolations are going on, can just jump forward to dance her on the first turn and let her engage on the enemy team. Eldigan's a very good backup dancer, and having Duma and Saros to round out their mythic squad gives the rest of their team a very solid set of stats to work with. They also have this Alphonse, who's enabling their duo's hindrance, who's using his base kit, which isn't terrible, but it does mean that it's hard for him to actually charge up Ope in the future before he gets knocked out on a counterattack. This catapult's actually pretty well positioned for my structure layout, especially since it does snipe our safe defense and cuts down on the time we have to actually move in on this team. But I don't think it's really going to slow us down too much, and we should actually just be able to set up and engage on this very first turn. I'm going to have Ashura move down here and break this flag. Sorry, Edelgard. And then we'll have Gatekeeper move over here and open this up.
Why not?
Then dance him forward and test this first bolt trap.
Where to today?
By testing this trap, we actually make sure that Fjorm and Edelgard aren't going to get hit by it, which is pretty useful. Then Naga can break this fence, which gives Edelgard a warp point to jump in and protect Gatekeeper from Eliwood, and Fjorm can use Guidance to move over and protect the rest of the team from the ranged threats. From here, Eliwood should actually end up moving in first, since the dancers can't actually reach Veronica, thanks to Gatekeeper shutting down the warp effect. And even though the dance comes through here, we're not going to be too worried about it. Veronica does end up healing Eliwood, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive through a bonfire, and once Eliwood's high enough on his health again, she prioritizes attacking instead of healing a second time.
I'll cut my own path.
And down goes Eliwood. Alphonse moves in next, but he's not going to get anything onto Fjorm. And then the Mythics can't really get anything done. And now that they don't have any ranged threats left to worry about, we're just going to have Gatekeeper move up here and test this heavy trap. It's real, it's fine.
Tread carefully.
Gatekeeper actually stops anybody from moving past these tiles without attacking them first, even if Cirrus wasn't crafted, and means that Edelgard can just save him from here. And we'll just have Asher jump past Plumeria with guidance, and Plumeria can move past Edelgard with aerobatics.
Yes.
And we'll just have Fjorm and Naga start working their way up.
Lady Niffle.
Yep. And from here, Edelgard should have no problem swatting her way through the defenses.
I'll cut my own path.
No guard effects on any of these means it's very easy for her to just one-shot them on fire. And the effective damage on Cirrus just means it's a little bit overkill.
No mercy.
And then we close out with Eltigan.
I'll cut my own path.
Duma can't reach us here, and that should make it pretty easy for us to navigate around him and pick up these Aether pods. We do need to be careful about this healing tower since we don't want Duma to re-enable his boots later on.
Greetings!
But Gatekeeper can do a very good job of disabling those boots for us without closing out the match. And then we'll just dance him.
The choice
Have
is clear.
Edelgard move out of the way.
Yes.
Then smite him forward.
Where to
And
today?
let him break this healing tower for us.
What is your
From
desire?
there it should be pretty straightforward to pick these up and close out the
I'll
match.
protect you.
Reporting for
Here it's
duty.
pretty easy for Gatekeeper to step over and pick up one pot.
Close your
Maria can
eyes.
step up and pick the second one up.
Tread
And then we'll just
carefully.
have Edelgard close out the match. It's a pretty straightforward start to the week. Let's see what we get next. This match will be a interesting one, but straightforward. They don't have anything too crazy on their team outside of some pretty highly invested units. It's fun to see some of these at plus 10. Marth and Sheena specifically are fairly old units, and I actually built a plus 10 Sheena myself way back for my original arena core. It's neat to see her, although it does hurt a little bit to see her without her refine. We also have this plus 10 Thracier who's very impressive and might potentially be getting a refine at some point in the next year or so. Probably sooner than that. And then they've also got a bonus week Alm over in the corner, who can be very threatening if you don't take him seriously, along with a Duma in his bonus week and a Cirrus to boost the Thracier, and Duma too, but mostly for Thracier I think. And then of course the in-season Legendary Tiki for far save and some defense buffs for most of their team. That's a pretty solid defense, honestly, and can stat check people if they're not being careful, although having a missing bonus structure doesn't really help that. I don't think we're going to have too many problems with this. It should be a fairly straightforward match here. It does help that we're using the save ball for it.
I'll do it.
We're just going to take the
Yes.
first turn to break a couple of structures and start moving
Yes?
into position.
Tread carefully.
What is your desire?
We'll say go on the next turn. Nope. Nothing happens first turn. We're all out of range and they don't have Dancer anyway.
It will be done.
So from here, we'll flip Gatekeeper forward.
Where to
And we'll come
today?
over here.
There is
Smite
but
him
one
on
future.
this potential bolt trap, which is real. It's interesting. I kind of expected it to be this one, since the healing tower doesn't actually reach some of their units that get hit by it.
Why
And then
not?
from there, we'll have Plumeria just move up and break this tactic room,
I'll protect
which
you.
lets Fjorm jump forward thanks to guidance,
Forward.
and then Edelgard jump forward thanks to her own weapon. And from here, we should just watch them all slowly trickle in. Oh. Except that Marth went in and blocked Tiki and Sheena. Shucks. Oh. Sadly for Thracier, that fight does not end well for her. And well, Paul actually can do a chunk of damage, thanks to, in large part thanks to his true damage, but it actually gets mitigated all the way down to just being healed. And then Tiki helpfully pulls Marth back out of the way, and lets Edelgard take down Sheena.
Where to today?
We're actually going to let Gatekeeper join in on this fun and get a couple of knockouts. And start by knocking out Tiki, who actually can't do any damage back to him, even if she got a chance to.
Close your
And then
eyes.
dance him.
Reporting for duty.
Let him take down Marth as well.
Ha!
And
Tread
we're
carefully.
not actually going to warp all the way forward to this pot, we're just going to have Edelgard stay here. Just as a trap, and
I
also
am
lets
the
her stay in
answer.
range of Ashura for this next turn. And then we'll
Yes.
just have Naga move up and get ready to pick up the Aether pot here, and say go. Service isn't going to get anything done to Edelgard.
No mercy.
There she goes. And Tuma can't quite reach us.
The choice
From
is
here,
clear.
we'll just swap Gatekeeper to help him beat this
Greetings!
gravity effect and reach the Aether pot for this turn.
It will
And
be
then we'll
done.
have Naga pick up the second one,
Why not?
dance Gatekeeper,
Where to today?
and let him take a shot at Duma for no real reason other than he can.
Go!
He would actually have taken 1 point of damage from Duma if we'd attacked before debuffing Duma with Plumeria. Otherwise, we might have been able to finish this match with Gatekeeper instead,
Yes.
but that's
I'll
okay.
protect you. Yes?
We'll just let Edelgard close things out. And move on to the next match.
You can't stop me.
This match was a bit of a letdown when I saw it. It's a boxed-in setup, but that's not really the reason I was sad about it. It's when I looked over at their fortress and realized we have a 2-level advantage. They do have a +10 Aversa on their team, but their team is pretty much just basic hits across the board with little to no investment. They are using Anmo Blessings, or are in season at least, so that does help mitigate their lift, and well, not everybody has the resources to put together a really strong defense, so as long as it mitigates their lift loss, that's probably good enough. I think I'm going to end up having some fun with this one, though. We'll see if we can't just let Gatekeeper steal some of the glory. So what we're going to do is just actually not have
Reporting for
Edelgard or
duty.
Fjorm do any of the fighting this
What is
match,
your
and
desire?
we'll try and let
Greetings.
Gatekeeper just do all of it instead.
Yes.
I'll do it.
I'll take this first
Lady
turn just
Niffle.
to get in position and start things off. From
Yes.
here, we should actually be able to flip Gatekeeper forward, and then have him move in and one-shot Lyn.
Go!
And once he's finished with Lyn, I'll have
There
Asher
is
move
but
in
one
and
future.
open this bolt tower up,
Why
and
not?
then I'll dance him. And let him use his
Reporting for
Dragon
duty.
Slaying buff to knock out Saros.
Ha!
He shouldn't really have any problems shrugging off Edelgard in the enemy phase, and Aversa should just get herself knocked out thanks to the bonfire that he'll have charged up.
The choice is clear.
We'll just let Edelgard stay in the back
Yes?
and say go. which doesn't do damage to him. And, well, Bonfire should be enough for him to take down Aversa here.
No one gets through.
Yep, and down she goes. And from here, we're going to actually let Gatekeeper just attack into Edelgard. She can't really do anything to him, and since she's only using new time, she's never going to do damage to him.
You can't stop me.
So what we'll do instead is just use her to charge up Bonfire again,
Close your eyes.
then dance him back into position,
Where to today?
and let him knock out Hector.
Stop right there!
And down he goes.
I'll
And we'll
protect
just
you.
let Fjorm continue marching up towards the Aether pot and test that trap, so now we know this one's real. And we'll just wait and say go. Nope,
I'll cut my own path.
but not through Gatekeeper,
Greetings!
who should be able to knock her out here.
Go!
And once Edelgard's out of the way, that also disables the guard effect from Hilda's Candy Cane,
I'll do it.
which means we can dance him
Reporting for
and
duty.
finish charging up Bonfire, which should make it easy to carve through their second Edelgard next turn.
Yes?
Fjorm will just move up and get ready to pick up this first Aether pot, then we'll
There
have
is
Asher
but
move
one
up and break
future.
this Bright Shrine, or Dark Shrine, rather.
Tread carefully.
Edelgard can move over,
Yes.
Asher moves up, and say go. And from
Lady
there,
Nifl.
Fjorm can pick up this Aether pot,
The choice
and
is
we'll have
clear.
Edelgard open this up, which
I
lets
am the
Asher step
answer.
forward and break the second Aether pot, before we
Greetings!
have Gatekeeper move in and knock out the last unit on their team.
You're suspicious!
His special quotes are great. We don't see them enough. This match is going to be a bit of a step up from the last few. We had an easy start to the week, so it was about time for reality to start hitting, and matches up with a maxed out in-season Legendary Marth with his bonus tripler setup. He's a very intimidating ball of stats, especially since you can't just debuff him to make him easier to handle, and they're backing him up with a maxed out bonus week Duma. It's a very impressive front line, and they're backing that up with a legendary Lina, who's also in season, and carrying a Rally and Ruse trap to try and help catch enemy Fjorms off guard, along with this Azura, who, while her dance doesn't usually provide Marth with any extra stats unless an Elamine pops into the field, she also gives him an extra movement range, which can really help him catch almost anything off guard. And Sol, with Odd Recovery and Restore, can really make a mess of the map as well. And of course, a Duo Peony in the corner to enable their hindrance, along with Azura, and provide their team with some very strong attack buffs. And Sarah's for the 7th slot, who's also providing this bonus week Duma with even more stats thanks to Wings of Light. It's a pretty spooky team overall, and I actually didn't think I was going to be able to do this with the Degenerate squad for the week, but I think I figured out a way to handle it. I'm going to need to take a turn just to set up here, and once we've done that, we should be able to get to take full advantage of Gatekeeper and his detailed report.
Reporting
He's
for
going
duty.
to start by helping us clear out this right side of the map, which is where we're planning to tank
I'll
things from.
protect you.
And just have Fjorm
Why not?
break these last couple of structures.
Lady Nifl.
And then we'll
Yes.
move Ashra here and Edelgard over with Naga behind her, which gives everybody all the buffs we need to make it through this next turn. And from
Yes?
here we should just be able to move into position. Fjorm can step forward
Where
and we'll
to
have
today?
Gatekeeper move up,
I'll do
and we'll
it.
dance him, and move him
Greetings.
all the way forward to break this Bright Shrine. And from here he severely limits their team's movement options, since Duma can't move through this tile and Sol can't move through this one. Also, Lilina can't actually move through here either, so she can't reach these tiles behind him.
Tread carefully.
And that means we can just move Edelgard in behind to keep everybody safe from the melee. I'm not expecting to tank Marth this turn, but she should be able to handle him
What is
even
your
if he
desire?
decides to turn up. We'll just move Naga in behind and say go. Restore happens first, and Lilina comes in. She can do a lot of damage before the ice mirrors kick in, but it's not enough to break through Fjorm without the pre-combat damage on top. And, well, Fjorm has no problems one-shotting her. Duma moves next, because he can do some damage. But he's never going to survive this counter swing, especially not with the effective damage on top.
my own path.
Azura moves in next. She can do damage before the ice mirrors kick in, and the healing post-combat comes through, which means that I never have to worry about her dancing. And Peony should be the next one to... oh, no. Never mind. Looks like we'll end up taking Earth this turn. I was hoping that the AI would prioritize Peony's
You
attack,
can't
since
stop me.
she can do a little bit of in-combat damage to Fjorm. But that's okay. Mirth just comes in, and swings twice at Edelgard, but she can survive that. I'm a bit sad that I misread the AI on this. I was really expecting Peony to attack, since the bonds actually cancel out the debuffs she was getting to attack, and
I'll
I thought she'd
protect
be
you.
able to do enough damage to Fjorm to attack before Ceres did. It should still work out
The
alright,
choice
though.
is clear.
We'll just start by having Edelgard jump up to knock out Peony.
No mercy.
Yes.
Then we're going to reposition Asher forward into this trap, which is real.
I am
And
the
all of
answer.
those buffs are just enough to let Asher one-shot Marth. And she actually even gets to double him here, which surprises me a little, since he's got a lot of stats going for him right now. And
Greetings.
then we'll move Gatekeeper over one tile,
I'll do it.
dance him,
Reporting
and then
for
have
duty.
him trap Sol right in this corner. I think he's actually just going to retreat even further towards this Aether pot,
Lady Niffle.
which is good. And then Fjorm's going to keep everybody except Gatekeeper safe. Yep. And let Gatekeeper just wall out the match for us. And from
Greetings.
here, we're just going to let Gatekeeper pick up the second Aether pot.
I am the
And
answer.
may as well give him a chance to
not?
close out the match, too.
Yes.
We'll just let Asher break this Dark Shrine so it stops debuffing him.
I'll protect you.
It
And
will
have
be
everyone
done.
else move up
Forward.
to support. Especially without those debuffs, Sol's never going to actually do damage to him.
Reporting
And
for
then from
duty.
here, we'll just have him attack Sol once.
I'll do
And
it.
dance him,
Greetings.
and let him close out the match.
No one gets through.
And he did a good job of making sure of it. That was a fun one to plan out. This match will be another fun one. They've got a pretty solid array of ranged threats on their team, including a Duo Corin, a Happy, and a Lilina, all as magical threats, and backing them up with a Duo Dagger for Pathfinder and some physical damage. while Tugger's not quite as spooky outside of her bonus weeks, she's still a very capable threat, and the Pathfinder effect does a lot for just helping her team's mobility, and making sure that the mages can cover each other wherever they can attack from. They've also got 3 mythics boosting their stats with Ceres and Duma for 6 extra attack, and a Mirabilis for a Dancer. Mira's got a bit of a dense trap here with being able to reach Ceres thanks to aerobatics, and the debuffs from her dance and weapon can catch people off guard if they're just trying to tank their way through these ranged threats, and Duma with boots can have a bit more mobility than someone might expect as well. I don't think we'll have too many problems here. I think it should be pretty straightforward after the first turn. We just want to make sure that we clean up a couple of key structures before we get going. And then Fjorm should actually be able to handle almost everything they have to throw at us.
Lady Niffle.
I'm going to start by opening up this side of the map.
Tread carefully.
There's a bit more room to work with over here since the fort and wall on the other side make things a little cramped.
Yes.
We'll have
Greetings.
Gatekeeper pick off this tactic room,
Why
and then
not?
dance him. And we're going to flip
It will be
the
done.
area over to the left here, since we don't have to worry about their first turn, since they miss our safety fence.
Where to
And we'll
today?
just move Gatekeeper back down a space. Yep, everything gets locked out. Nothing to worry about there. And
What
then we'll
is your
just
desire?
flip Gatekeeper forward,
There is but
move
one
Asher
future.
forward 1 step,
I'll
move
protect you.
Fjorm over once,
Close your
Dancer.
eyes. Yes?
and swap her into position to keep the team safe for this turn.
The
And
choice is clear.
Edelgard can just plant feet and
Forward.
keep the team covered in case Ceres actually makes it all the way to us. I'm not expecting her to be able to do that though. This should just be a pretty straightforward dance, and then all the mages and one flyer move in. There's some pretty significant visible damage coming through here, but Fjorm's got enough damage reduction and self-healing to be able to push through this. And those two should be the ones able to do the most damage to her. Korn can get a little bit of damage done thanks to the second hit, but at this point they aren't actually out healing Fjorm, or out damaging Fjorm's healing. And Happy moves in, but even
Don't
a
blame
Glimmer's not going to get her far enough in to get this done. And down they go. From here, we can
Reporting for
actually
duty.
have Gatekeeper knock out Ceres. A triangle advantage and effective damage let him punch through her even if he isn't using any kind of combat kit. And then Naga
Yes.
can break this wall for us
The
while
choice
we
is
dance
clear.
Edelgard forward to keep her safe from Duma.
I'll do it.
Forward.
And Mirabilis shouldn't be able to reach us here.
I am the answer.
Lady
I'll
Niffle.
just say go. Yep, Duma moves in, gets saved by Edelgard, who is going to pretty easily one-shot him, even without dragon effectiveness.
You can't stop me.
And then Mira moves forward,
Tread
and
carefully.
then it's pretty easy for Edelgard to pick up one pot while
Yes.
Asher snags the second.
It
We'll
will be
move
done.
Naga down here and out of the way. No real trap,
Greetings.
that's fine. Gatekeeper can move up and close out the match for us.
Go!
It'll take him 2 attacks. We need to charge up that bonfire, but
Close your eyes.
he can manage it.
Where to today? No one gets through.
And down she goes. Was a fun one. This match is an interesting layout. I haven't seen too many spread out teams like this yet. They might start actually becoming more popular with L9, but I haven't thought too much about redesigning defenses around her yet. They have two different armors in their backline, although Hector's not using a save skill. I feel like he might be intended to, either near save to protect his ranged cavalry friends, or far save. Since the way they actually have this laid out, the far saves wouldn't overlap, except to let Hector bodyguard for Fjorm and vice versa. And it would be a really neat way of doing it if he was using it. The ranged cavalries, of course, are pretty spooky to handle. Leaf and Lilina are both very dangerous in their own ways with a miracle effect or pre-charged AoE. And Boomsweek Duma, backed up by Saros, is a pretty hard hitter as well. Then, of course, Mirabilis in the backline is a dancer. This isn't set up to actually move the map, since Mirabilis should always just dance Saros in place, but being able to dance Saros from here affects a pretty wide area of the map with the attack debuffs, which can definitely mess with people who are just trying to tank in this area. I think we should have a pretty straightforward time of this. And it'll be another good opportunity to show off Gatekeeper's Obstruct.
Yes.
We'll start by flipping Plumeria forward here, and then letting her and Ashura break these thrones.
Yes?
And Fjorm can move all the way up here, while
Reporting for duty.
Gatekeeper and Edelgard move over behind Naga. Then from here, we're actually going to flip Gatekeeper forward,
Where
and
to
have
today?
him break this bolt tower for us.
The
And
choice
then
is clear.
Edelgard can swap him forward into position, which keeps Naga safe from Lilina.
Oh, I'll do
And
it.
dance Edelgard,
Tread
let her
carefully.
swap Plumeria forward,
I'll protect
while
you.
Fjorm breaks this tactic room ahead of next turn,
Yes.
and Ashura moves into place to rebuff everybody next turn as well. And then from here, the first thing that happens is a dance before we just start going down the lane. Fjorm's damage reduction means she's actually just going to start healing through these combats. Mostly since she doesn't have to worry about this pre-combat AoE from Lilina. And even the triangle advantage isn't actually going to let Lilina do more damage than Leaf did. And then we just watch Edelgard carve her way through a couple of dragons, and the enemy Fjorm.
You can't stop me.
She's been definitely dunking on some Saroses this week. Duma too.
No mercy.
And then Fjorm moves in last. She has the least amount of health to lose, and it's actually kind of
No
funny
mercy.
to see Edelgard be able to naturally double her. And we should be
am
able
the
to wrap
answer.
things up from here. Asher's going to pick up this first pot for us, and
Greetings.
Gatekeeper is going to open the path towards the second
Close
one.
your eyes.
We'll dance him forward here and
Bleeding
actually
nipple.
swap Edelgard up a tile,
Reporting for duty.
which means Gatekeeper can pick up this pot, before
Forward.
Edelgard jumps forward and keeps him safe from the melee.
What is your desire?
She shouldn't have any problem dealing with Mira and Hector here. The damage that Duma did to her with
I'll cut
Upheaval
my own
actually
path.
turns off Hector's weapons, so he really doesn't have a good time with this fight.
I won't back down.
And down they go. Nice and clean. This match will be a fun one almost at the end of the week now, and it will be the second maxed out Legendary Marth we've seen this week. This one's even got a Floret and is extremely impressive. He's very hard to deal with if you let him engage on you, or if you try to debuff him and then attack into him. And he's backed up by a couple of other rarely seen max investment units, starting with this Summer Fiora. I actually picked up some of Fiora for me myself and haven't really found a way to convince myself to use her properly. And this maxed out guy is really cool too. It's a bit of a shame that his dagger gets disabled by Duma, but it still helps if someone tries to heal themselves up to full health before they start the fight. This Riev actually complicates things a lot for me. His Argentor is pretty annoying. It disables Edelgard's march and leaves her stranded at 1 movement, and just the extra -5 penalties landing on everybody for free can really get in the way of calculating things. Their mythics are also pretty highly invested. This Duna in his bonus week is extraordinarily chunky, and Ceres is always a bit of a threat if you're not taking her seriously. And +7 Mirabilis in the back. Her Sabotage is actually very effective once you stack her res this high, and nearly actually is going to reach Furum. You should be able to beat that check, thanks to the extra res from Ashura, but it's pretty close. I am going to take a couple of turns setting up for this one. I need to make sure that we open up this corner of the map so that we can deal with Marth before he becomes a problem. So we're going to start by just having Gatekeeper move in,
There is but
and
one
let
future.
Ashura break this panic on her, before
Close your
densing her and
eyes.
letting her move down
I
and
am
start
the
breaking
answer.
things on this side. This isn't a map that actually starts anything until you engage with it. There aren't any movement shenanigans or rally traps, so we don't have to worry about starting the map until
Yes?
it's actually started.
Forward.
And then we'll say go. And from here we can start moving into position. Ashura's going to break this lamp,
What
and
is your
Naga's going to
desire?
move in behind her. And
Greetings!
we're going to have Gatekeeper flip Fuel over to the right. And we'll have Edelgard just wait in place
I'll
before
do it.
dancing her
Tread
and letting her
carefully.
jump past Gatekeeper. Mostly dancing her to make sure that, extra sure, that Riev doesn't target her this turn because we want to avoid having Ashura get debuffed. Then we'll say go. And I'm stupid. I actually somehow managed to forget about needing to soak this Bright Shrine on top of dodging Riev. And sadly
is
that means
but
we're going to
one
need to take
future.
one more turn before we start this, because otherwise Ashura's not going to be able to outspeed this Marth. So,
Yes?
we're just going to make sure that Furum soaks it this
Why
turn
not?
by swapping Gatekeeper, dancing her,
I'll protect you.
and swapping back.
I am the answer.
This actually pushes her total of attack and speed just barely ahead of Ashura for next turn. And since now she's not getting debuffed at all,
It will
we
be
can
done.
reposition Ashura forward to give her a full spectrum of buffs and enable her weapon
Yes.
to its maximum. And then
Greetings!
we'll flip Edelgard forward, which tests the trap for us. Oh, that was the real one. I was really expecting this to be the real one, since Marth isn't using distant counter.
Tread carefully.
Regardless, that means that Edelgard can swap Gatekeeper forward and provide Ashura with even more attack and speed buffs.
Yes.
And I actually had a very awkward moment here when we realized that Marth is actually getting some extra stats thanks to our
not?
sabotages. Definitely not on my game for this match, but I think this is
There
still
is but one
salvageable.
future.
We're going to start by having Ashura knock Marth out, or try to knock Marth out.
Fool!
Very tempted to go back to just giving her a lull instead of sabotages during Fire Weeks at this point. And then we're
I'll
going to
do it.
dance Edelgard, who should have
Forward.
just enough attack, barely, to finish this Marth off before he does a lot of work to her in the player phase. Not having those solo skills online for this part helps a lot.
Lady Niffle.
And then Furum can swap Gatekeeper down and keep us safe from the ranged. Yep. Ceres won't be able to do any real damage to Edelgard, and Fiora shouldn't be able to get
No
too much
mercy.
done either. Even though we haven't set up a real setup with Gatekeeper, Edelgard and Fiora should still be able to carve their way through the rest of this team. Fury can do a little bit of damage, but it's not going to let her survive the bonfire. Even though Guard does let her shut down the initial one, it's not enough to survive the second. And Tamira's just not going to have a good time here.
You can't stop me.
And then Riev moves in, and Fury handles him very neatly. And then Duma just can't reach us. That was a lot closer than I would have liked, but we still managed to pull it through, thankfully.
Yes.
So from here all we should have to do is let Ashura pick up one pot.
Yes.
We'll swap Gatekeeper forward since he's gravitied still, and pick up the second pot.
Yes.
Then we'll move Naga into position to let
Tread
Aether Guard
carefully.
swap her and complete her buffs.
Close your
Move Cleanery
eyes.
up to get the full spectrum and let her demolish Duma on this enemy phase. The double melt or fallout prevention does still
won't
stop her
back
from
down.
punching through it, but it's just not quite enough to survive the bonfire. This match was an interesting way to finish the week, especially on the heels of that last one, featuring a much less invested Legendary Marth who is somehow still a very major pain to deal with. This Refine and Remix did a lot for him. It's great to see him actually being a really good unit. They're also backing up with an in-season Legendary Tiki as a far-safe flavor. She might have some problems as a far-save unit in Astro Weeks thanks to Naga, who makes it a lot easier to bring it down any dragons on the opponent's team. And they are counting pretty heavily on Marth especially, I think, and Tiki, to handle enemy teams, since they're backing them up with 3 different dancers and a pair of mythics to help boost their stats even higher. Marth himself is a pretty reasonable stat check unit, so I can see how this gets them wins, even though it's a pretty basic setup. I'm going to take a couple of turns setting this up. I need to take some time to test traps and just be careful about things in general. I don't want to have as close a call as we had last match. So we're going to start by just having Ashura move in and test this first trap. Oh, it is real. And it's a 50 damage trap too. I wasn't counting on this, but it would make it very easy for Ashura to finish Marth off here on this first turn.
Why not?
But we're not going to do that. We're just going to dance her.
Where
and
to
then we'll
today?
continue opening up this corner
I am the answer.
The choice is clear.
and slowly move into position.
What is your desire?
I'll protect you.
I'm not too worried about the health of our support units. It's mostly about making sure that Edelgard and
Niffle.
Furum stay healthy. From
There is
here, we're
but
going
one
to have
future.
Ashura test this heavy trap. It's real, it's fine.
Reporting
Gatekeeper
for
is going
duty.
to flip her down and out of the threat range.
Oh,
Then we'll
I'll
have
do it.
Plumeria Dance Ashura, which lets her clean those
Yes.
gravity debuff off before next turn.
There is but one
Tread
future.
carefully.
And then swap Plumeria forward on tile.
I'll protect you.
Fion's going to swap Naga to get herself into range of Ashura for next
Yes.
turn. And then we'll just have Naga move here. And buff Ashura with some dragon slaying. Nope. The only thing that happens is a Dancer and Dorothea. Which gives us an easy time with this turn. And now
Greetings.
that we've gotten everybody in position, we should be able to get this started.
What is your desire?
Gatekeeper can open up that last structure, and then we'll flip Furum over to the right,
I'll protect you.
and have her swap Plumeria forward. All of the attack buffs and
Yes.
dragon slaying mean that Ashura can just move in and one-shot Tiki. And then we'll dance
Close
her,
your eyes. There
and
is
then we'll
but
also
one
one-shot
future.
Zeus. Coming up Ceres' spot is actually really important here since we're trying to bait two of the dancers into attacking instead of potentially dancing Marth. And since Marth should always meet the speed check for his binding shield, he should never take damage, and should stay out of range of their last Wings of Mercy dancer as a result. We'll see. The first thing that should happen is that Marth moves into attack, and he can't really do too much damage to Edelgard, since she does get to cancel his buffs, and from here, Dorothy and Peony should just get baited into attacking Fiora. Mirabilis might actually... Oh, no. She is going to dance. Okay, that's fair.
To the end.
He can do a little more damage thanks to the Shining Emblem, but it's still not quite enough. Unfortunately for Marth, now that Ashura has a Glimmer charged, he is not going to have a good time with this fight.
Simply an end.
And with Martha out of the way, they really don't have much left that can threaten our team. And from here we can just clean up their dancers. Well, one of them at least.
No mercy.
Edelgard just relieved to be able to attack.
Where to today?
And
Why
then
not?
Plumeria can pick up one pot. While
Reporting
Gatekeeper
for
snipes
duty.
second.
It will be done.
And we'll
Bleeding
just
nipple.
swap Naga over and maybe help Gatekeeper close this match out. Mira moves into attack since there aren't any rallies to worry about, so
No mercy.
she just gets swatted by Edelgard.
Yes?
And we'll just close out the week
I am
by
the answer.
giving Gatekeeper one last knockout.
Tread carefully.
Edelgard swapping Plumeria this way should let
Greetings.
him reach Duma for one attack. And then we'll finish him off with the
Go!
dance.
I'll do it.
Where to today?
So down he goes.
Ha!
These Marths have been pretty rough to handle, with this team at least. May have been a bit more stubborn than I needed to be. It was a fun week overall. I was using a bit of a degenerate team this time around, but it is fun to actually hit rank 1 again. It's been a while. Kind of hilarious that it ended up happening when I was just trying to take it easy for a week and focus on streaming Pokemon Legends, but hey, I won't complain. I do have a Discord channel, there's a link in the description if you'd like to hang out and chat, and there's also a Patreon page there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.